Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream. And there's 4 days to go now, or just less than, until the transfer window shuts. No game for Chelsea this weekend after being knocked out of the FA Cup at the hands of Manchester City. But there's been more good news. Chelsea have agreed a deal to sign Lyon right back Malo Gusto for 30 million euros plus add-ons. He'll be loaned back to the French side for the rest of the season, and will link up along with Christopher Nkunku in June. So it's a right-back position that has now been sorted, but it's not been immediately sorted. We still have to get by the rest of the season with, obviously, Reece James coming back to full fitness now, Chalobah that can play there, and Azpilicueta. So I think we've got enough to get by, but to see the fact that we've kind of secured the signature of one of Europe's top right-backs, one of Europe's most sought-after young talents in Malo Gusto, and for a fee of £30 million plus add-ons. Those add-ons could take the deal to around 35-40 million euros. But for a 19-year-old who's got the potential to be one of the best fullbacks in Europe, I think it represents a very good deal. 19-year-old France under 21 international will remain with Lyon until the end of the season before joining Chelsea in the summer. And he's going to have his medical tomorrow. So that medical's booked in for tomorrow, reported by Fabrizio Romano there. So, deal will be signed. I don't know when a deal will be signed, but medical tomorrow. And Darmesh, it's it's another signing in through the door. It's been a busy January, but this is a problem position that, all right, it's not been immediately sorted, but it's sorted now. We didn't want to wait till the summer because of further interest in the player. There was reported that another Premier League team had potentially tried to hijack the move, but Gusto only wanted Chelsea. This is a massive plus. I mean, apart from how annoyed are you, or how disappointed, or I don't know, want of a better word, are you that we have to wait till the summer for him?
Yeah, big up, Charlie. Thanks for having me on again. Big up the chat as well. Smash the like and sub to the channel as well. The Gusto situation is kind of it's a weird one, because we kind of knew that Lyon wouldn't want us to buy him now. But in terms of, I was just sort of thinking about it. For the rest of the season, we've only really got the Champions League to play for and the Premier League. And we're about 10 to 13 points off top four, let's just say roughly.
Yeah.
And realistically, are we going to get top four? Well, personally, I don't think so. And our best bet is the Champions League. And then that's where you'd sort of prioritize Reece James in those situations. So, and realistically, the Champions League route to the finals, maybe about 6-7 games if we're counting both legs and stuff. So realistically, we need Reece James fully fit for about 7 important games for the rest of our season. So I think it's a great addition, this signing, because the last right back we signed, I think, was Zappacosta, wasn't it? Back in 2017-18. So it's a position that we've been looking for ages. Well, we've been neglecting it for ages, but it's good that Todd Bowley stepped it up this January window by signing one of, like you said, Europe's hottest sort of prospects in terms of right back. So yeah, I can't argue with the signing, to be fair. I'm really happy with it. That and probably central midfield are probably the two positions that I wanted addressing first in this window. It's a shame, obviously, the midfield situation at the moment with 4 days left, but finally we've addressed the right back situation. So I can understand Lyon stand on it in terms of us getting him in the sort of summer, because at the end of the day, they still need him for the season. And realistically, our season is only just rests on the Champions League, if we're being honest. So yeah, I'm really happy about it, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and it's great to see. We haven't signed a right back for a number of years. Zappacosta, the last one, God knows when that was. So it's much needed, and it now gives us the opportunity to finally, I say finally, as if it's like a bad, I can't wait to get rid of him, but finally, to kind of let Azpilicueta leave the club. I know he signed a 2-year deal, but I'm sure at the end of the season, he'll be moved on. There's not really going to be space for him in the squad, so it allows for that to happen. And we've now got genuine depth at right back with quality for the first time in God knows how long. It could be, first time in a good number of years. You look at that right hand side. You look at that right hand side for next season. Reece James and Malo Gusto. You're looking at it, and I wouldn't say it was outrageous to say that's probably the best right back depth in a squad in Europe in terms of age, quality. And that could be Chelsea's right-hand side for the next between 5 to 7 years with Reece and Malo Gusto. So that's a problem position that's locked down with two phenomenal players with such a high ceiling that will only push each other on to better things. So that is a huge plus to get that deal boxed off, get it done in the summer. And it's great that we've not panicked and we thought we haven't kind of changed our minds and gone, oh shit, we can't. Leon don't want to sell him now. They only want to sell him in the summer. Because I honestly think under the previous regime, under Marina and stuff, we would have binned this deal off if with Leon saying, "Oh, we don't want to sell till the summer, or we don't want him to leave until the summer," and we probably would have tried to go in for Dumfries and pay well over the odds for him under the previous regime. So it's great to see us sticking to our guns and thinking about the long term rather than the short term. Because as you say, look, we're not throwing this season away. We want to try and finish as high up the table as we can, but realistically, there's not an awful lot to play for. Champions League, whilst unlikely, you never say never. Form kind of goes out the window in regards to that tournament. It's just about putting a run together. So you can never say never in that. But yeah, there's not an awful lot to play for. So in all honesty, yeah, whilst it would have been great for him to have 6 months to bed in and learn a bit about the club and adapt, it'll come in June. He'll have the full pre-season and he'll be ready to hit the ground running at the start of next season. So yeah, that's another signing through the door for Chelsea. Malo Gusto will join from Lyon in June 2023, along with Christopher Nkunku as well. So 2 deals already wrapped up for next season, and we're only in January, which is great. I mean, mate, how pleased are you to see the way that we're operating in the market as well in terms of getting deals wrapped up? Because that's 2 massive deals done ahead of the summer already. That's 2 huge bits of business done. And we've got the jump on a number of teams to get these 2 players in.
I honestly think this January myth of not being able to sign players is actually a genuine myth, because if you have the money, just pay it. That's it, and as simple as you'll get the player. You might have to pay a little bit more for the player, but that would also mean it comes with quality as well. Because, like you said, we might have overpaid with the Dumfries deal, for example, at least 40 to 50 million for him, but signing this sort of contract thing is a brilliant idea going forward and stuff. And look at the sort of other deals that we've gone through. We just slap the money on the table and here we go. We'll take the player, you take the money. That's it. And I don't believe the myth of you can't sign players in January, because look, Liverpool did it last season. They bought Luis Diaz through January. Tottenham also brought a couple of players, Kulusevski and Bentancur last season as well. But both given on loan, to be fair.
You can get players in January. I think
it's possible. If you have the money, then it's possible, yeah.
But I even think it's just possible in general. The idea that you can't sign quality in January is, I think I agree with you, is a little bit of a nonsense. Yes, you might have to pay a bit of a premium, but ultimately that is probably worth it in the long run. That paying that little bit extra will be worth it, rather than running the risk of missing out on players.
Look at Liverpool and how sort of Spurs sort of transformed their sort of seasons last season. Adding Luis Diaz, for example, to Liverpool almost got them a quad last season. And look at the transformation of Spurs as well.
Spurs don't make top 4 if Bentancur and Kulusevski don't come in January. But no, they don't. So that can be the difference. And it is so good to see. And we are having a phenomenal window at the moment. I mean, we'll get onto midfield in a sec. But what have you made of the window so far? Because I mean, at the moment, we're pretty much, in my opinion, we're on a 9 out of 10 January window. And if we get a midfield player, which we'll come on to shortly, this window is 10 out of 10, and quite arguably would be, I think, the greatest transfer window. It was certainly greatest January window ever in terms of what we've done. You look at the list of names we've got here: Malo Gusto in, Madueke, Mudryk, João Felix on loan, Badia Shield, Santos, and Nkunku, Fofana. When we see those names and you look what we've signed, I mean, that level of business is unbelievable for January.
Yeah, you can see a massive smile on my face when you bring up the screen on that. Yeah, to be fair, I can't argue with that. Like at the moment, for me, I'm probably about 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of the transfer window itself. Like for me personally, I wanted sort of the reverse in a way. So I wanted the sort of the right back situation and the midfield situation sorted first, then bring in the attackers. But I can't compare with the players that we brought in. Like look what Mudryk did in about 20-25 minutes against Liverpool. Yeah, you just know he's going to shine in this Chelsea team. João Felix as well showed glimpses before the red card as well. signing Madueke as well, Badia Shield as well. Probably been at the moment probably the best January transfer we've made so far. Just looks so calm and composed. Like it just doesn't seem phased at all with any sort of forwards that he's coming up against. But hopefully we get that midfield sorted. To be honest, that's the one position that I've been crying out for a long time, because realistically we haven't replaced sort of Matic and Fabregas in those sort of positions. We never did. But just looking at those players, I'm extremely happy with it, to be honest. Like,
I mean, we got a lot of games left this season still, but you can't help but get excited thinking about next season and how different
100%.
the squad's going to look compared to what we've got now. It is going to make a huge difference. Adam, big up, mate. Yeah, great that we've got that 7th signing done. Hopefully, one more and we can make it. We can make it 8. Mate, let's move on to that now. Obviously, the one position that's been neglected for a number of years has been midfield. We're currently rocking the same midfield that we had in 2018. No one's arrived since Jorginho and Kovacic were signed. We're still playing with the same midfield. It's quite frankly dated. It massively needs reinvestment and revamping. And obviously, the Enzo Fernandez debacle is well documented. There was reports that we might go back in for him late on in this window. I would be very, very surprised if that happened. I think that's well and truly gone now. If we try again in the summer, let's have a look. I'm sure we will, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. But as for this window, I'd be shocked if there was any sort of U-turn on Fernandez. But one player that is heating up, and this will be the big move in the January window, wherever he ends up going. Hopefully Chelsea, is Moises Caicedo of Brighton. Obviously, Fabrizio tweeting earlier today that Arsenal submitted a 60 million bid to sign Caicedo, and obviously it was rejected after Chelsea had a 55 million verbal proposal rejected last week. Arsenal pushing, Brighton hope to keep the player. And then there was another tweet earlier saying that further again from Fabrizio, if I'll just bring the other screen up, that apparently Caicedo is in conversations with De Zerbi about asking him to let him to leave. Here we go here. Caicedo is speaking to De Zerbi and Brighton to let him leave, wants to join an important team. Arsenal will insist. Chelsea have many midfielders on the list, waiting to see what Chelsea decide. Obviously, Brighton are trying to hold out for around £75 million for the fee. I think that's total package, all in add-ons and whatnot. So far, we had 55 million from Chelsea, 60 million from Arsenal. It's kind of a bit of a chess game at the moment. Let's see what happens. I'll be very surprised if, for me, there's no way that Arsenal can put more money on the table than us. That they simply can't. And it just now comes down to whether we can convince him to join us over Arsenal in terms of the long-term projects. Because right now, obviously, Arsenal's more attractive in terms of the here and now. But in the long term, the Chelsea project is definitely a lot more exciting than what Arsenal have got to offer. So with Moises Caicedo, I think the weekend's going to be massive. If it's going to be done, deadline day is Tuesday. Bids need to go in at the weekend, tomorrow, really. And then you've got a couple of days to sort all the paperwork, get the medical done, and then get it all done and dusted by Tuesday. But mate, where do you stand on this Caicedo deal? Obviously, it'd be great if we can get him. Do you think he is what we're looking for? Do you think he fits the box? He improves that midfield. It'll be another big piece added to the jigsaw.
Yeah, definitely. I think signing Caicedo will definitely add some energy as well as technical ability in our midfield that we've been lacking for ages. Like when I've seen Caicedo play, it just reminds me of how when Kante first joined in the Premier League, that sort of profile of player, but with better passing. So I truly believe Caicedo would be a great fit for our team, especially playing under Graham Potter as well in the past. That will also help as well. But I also feel that we need Caicedo and someone else like an Enzo. Like them two together would be perfect as a midfield too, in my opinion. But we're talking lots of money for that, at least approximately 200 million for both of them, to be honest, in terms of 120, 130 for Enzo, then about 75 for Caicedo. But I definitely think he'll improve our midfield and give us some energy, give us some legs, and then that way we don't have to sort of rely on Kante at the same time as well, given his injury record, where Kante could just sort of play that Makelele role and start to develop into that role as he continues to grow older as well. And obviously he had that operation as well. So we know Kante's not going to be the same again. But for me, looking at Caicedo, I always compare him to how fast when Kante joined, just the amount of the ground he can cover, his recovery tackles, his passing is probably better than Kante's. Only thing he does lack is goal threat, but we don't really need goal threat with Felix, Mudryk, Madueke up front. So yeah, it's definitely a player that I would want us to sign for sure, especially in January as well. Especially if Arsenal going for them. Like if Arsenal somehow end up Caicedo, like I might just tip them for the title, to be honest. If that's the case, unfortunately, yeah.
No, it's a sort of signing that you would think that if he does end up going to Arsenal, that's one of them that you think, actually, do you know what? That tips you from thinking they'll probably still throw it away to then actually thinking, do you know what?
They're serious.
They're serious, and they may well have enough if they add him. But I think in terms of a Chelsea move, I mean, yes, the amount of money is a lot of money, and is Caicedo worth that money? I mean, it's hard to say if any player is worth the money you pay for them, unless you're like an Mbappe or a Haaland or a De Bruyne. There's very few players where you could argue that they're actually worth what you pay them or what you pay for them. But ultimately,
definitely not Mason Mount.
No, but ultimately, what you do is like think we're in a desperate situation. Even if we have to pay a little bit over the odds, we're still in a situation where we can offer the 7.5 year contracts or whatever, amortization, and spread the cost of the fee over that many years. You use add-ons as well to bump it up to the fee that Brighton are looking for. And ultimately, if it means paying more in the short term but guaranteeing we get the player, I think that's what we've got to do. And I think Bowley and Co have shown that they're not afraid to put the money on the table and do a deal if a deal's there to be done. I do believe that a deal is there to be done for Caicedo with Brighton. It 100% is. Maybe, I don't know if we can perhaps in some way maybe offer them someone for the rest of the season on loan, whether we can look at maybe trying to... I know this doesn't always work in football because you need player buy-in on the Chelsea side as well, but whether Gallagher or Loftus-Cheek could go to Brighton on loan for the rest of the season as part of the deal.
Gilmore there, or was that permanent?
Yeah, Gilmore's gone permanent there. Yeah,
was that permanent?
Whether you could sell Caicedo, whether you could involve Gallagher or Loftus-Cheek as part of a loan deal for the rest of the season to Brighton. Again, it's always difficult to convince players to join as part of a deal. It is tough, which is why you don't really see many player plus cash deals these days in football, because you've got to get so many parties to agree. But maybe that's a route we could potentially look down. But I mean, ultimately, Chelsea, for me, I'd be shocked if we didn't go in for another bid for Caicedo. It's there to be done. He is there to be signed. Brighton have said what they want. I honestly think at £70 million they do business. If it was favourable, like 50 million up front with 20 in add-ons or however they want to do it. Chelsea and Brighton have got a great relationship. Paul Barber, the Brighton CEO, Todd Bowley, they get on well. We've done a lot of negotiating with Brighton, Potter, Cucurella, Gilmore, coaching staff, Winstanley,
Levi Colwell
as well on loan. So yeah, there's definitely a deal there to be done. I mean, mate, I know it's not our money, but in the position that we're in, and the fact that if people forget that if Chelsea sell a homegrown player this window, we're actually in profit for the January window, which is mad. Yeah. I read it on Twitter earlier. It was Ornstein saying it on a podcast. We'd actually, if we sell a homegrown player, we're actually in profit for this window.
Oh my God, how the hell that
which would be mad. But yeah, would you? I mean, another bid coming. We need a player in this position. We don't want to miss out on him. I mean, £75 million. I suppose you just have to do it.
Who says no? Who says no to that? To be honest, like literally. Yeah, it's just so we offered. Was it 55? We offered verbally.
Yeah, 55. Yeah.
Yeah. Arsenal obviously gone with 60. Caicedo's now talking to his agent. Is that right? And then trying to force the move. So
yeah, kind of force a move. Yeah, sort of vibe.
Yeah. So see, thing is, man, like I know we've kind of bantered and sort of shook Arsenal off in terms of the Mudryk thing, but I just don't know. Like, are we really going to go back? Like, I really want us to, but are we really going to go back? I'm not sure. Yeah. It's 75 mil. It's just got to be done. But unfortunately, I just got a feeling we won't for some reason. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah.
You don't think we go back in for him? I'd be shocked if we didn't go if we didn't go back in for him. Having like registered our interest and gone this far with it and exploring it, unless we genuinely think that he's not worth the money, and we'll focus we'll go with attention on the summer. I would be shocked if we didn't go back in, considering how far we've kind of gone with it, and the fact that we've actually put an offer in indicates that we definitely want the player and we're 100% interested. Obviously, the price has got to suit us as well, but I think we've got money to spend. You know, we've definitely got money to spend. So, and I look at Caicedo and I think, you know, 21 years old, played under Graham Potter before, knows the type of football Potter likes to play, knows the Premier League. Yes, he'll have to adapt to playing how Chelsea play, but I don't think it'll be too dissimilar to the way Brighton play. Yeah. You know, you're not only buying how good he is now, you're buying those years of potential, because at 21, you know, he's got a lot of years to grow. That could be players don't really stay at clubs, you know, 10 plus years these days. But you're looking at the next 5. You're looking at the next 5 years at least of that midfield, of one part of that midfield locked in with a player who's got so much potential to grow. So I think whilst obviously another bid's not gone in yet, well, at least it's not been made public knowledge, I think this is definitely one to watch over the weekend. Obviously, if there's no more news, but if there's no news by the time we get to Monday, then you're thinking maybe it's not going to happen.
Do you know what? With Todd Boehly, man, you just never know. Like, for some reason, the back of my head, I've just got a feeling on, like, I don't know, Sunday or Monday, he's just gonna slap up. There you go, 130 mil for Enzo. That's it. Like, Todd Boehly's the kind of guy to do that. So I just don't know. Like,
he is. It is tough to know. But look, the weekend is key for the Enzo deal. If there's no Caicedo news over the weekend, then I mean, never say never, but you would think unlikely given how little time there is and how big this deal is.
I think also another factor is, I think I saw either I heard it or I saw a tweet on it, is I think what Chelsea or Todd Boehly might be doing is they might be waiting until, say, Monday to try and get Caicedo, and then if it's not possible, they'll just go, okay, we'll just get Enzo anyway. That could be another situation, possibly. But it might be crazy, it might be unlikely, but it might be a situation where we're sort of ready to get Enzo, but I think we're sort of testing the waters with Caicedo as well, just to see if we can get that done. Knowing that Enzo we can get if we pay up the money, if you know what I'm saying.
But if that was the case, then if that was the case, why would we just not pay the money? Like,
that is true as well.
Like, if Enzo was if Enzo's number one target, and we know that we have to pay the money, and if we have the money to do it, then we would have done it, in my opinion. So
yeah, I hear that as well.
I'm not ruling it. It can't 100% be ruled out. Yeah. But I just think, you know, we know the stipulations that Benfica are asking for. There's very little room, if any at all, for negotiation. So if we wanted the player and we had the money to pay what Benfica are asking, then we would have done it. We wouldn't have left it this late. So that's just how I look at it. But again, with Boehly and Clearlake, you can never really rule it out. As I said, Caicedo this weekend's going to be massive for the Caicedo thing. It really is. I mean, let's kind of wait and see what happens. Let's see if Arsenal go back in with another offer. What does Chelsea do? It's certainly going to be interesting. But I think it's clear now that Caicedo is kind of setting the wheels in motion on his side, that he wants to leave Brighton this month and he wants to join Arsenal or Chelsea. But let's kind of wait and see what happens. If Caicedo joins, then this has been probably the best January window of all time, and probably one of the best transfer windows that there potentially has ever been. If we're being honest, I mean, it could rival that PSG one, where they got like Ramos, Messi, Donnarumma,
Hakimi as well.
Hakimi. Yeah, I mean, it could rival that one, but it would be an outrageous window. Mate, what were your thoughts on, obviously, the other day it has come out in a Matt Law article that, you know, Chelsea had tried to get Andre Onana from Everton. Obviously, only just joined Everton in the summer from Lille for £35 million. Turned us down. I think Chelsea were prepared to offer players on loan as part of the deal. But I think part of the problem was trying to convince whatever players they were prepared to include to actually go and join the relegation scrap at Everton, which is always hard with these player deals, because you've got to get buy-in on across all sides. Look at Onana, and I think young fits that age range that they're looking at. Talented, decent player, but I can't help but think it's like probably a plan C at best, probably even a plan D. You kind of glad? I'm not saying he's a bad player. He could be good for squad depth, but we don't need squad depth right now. We need players that are going to go into the team and make an instant impact in midfield. And for as good as he is, I'm not sure 6 months at Everton, he's suddenly that guy to go and make that difference at Chelsea.
Yeah, the Onana one's a bit of a weird one, really, because yeah, I agree with you in the terms of like it's more of like a plan C or plan D sort of DM signing, but I think for the right price, I would have taken him. Like, how much did we offer, or how much was he? Did you say?
I don't know how. Or Everton signed him for 35 million. I don't know
right,
what.
okay.
I don't know. There was no indication that we'd offered any, like, nothing's been made public about offering any money. I think we just maybe we made an approach on, but there's been no monetary figures put forward.
I think for me, it's more like in terms of signing Onana, it would have been more of a squad player signing, but obviously we don't need that right now. We need desperate reinforcements in the midfield, like players who are worth the money, and that will start for us and improve the quality of midfield. So yeah, Onana's what is he 6'6" or something, 6'5" as well? He would have added
it's quite tall, I think. Yeah,
he would have added quite a lot of height and physicality into our midfield as well, which have been lacking as well. So wasn't too against the idea, but at the same time, I think us as Chelsea fans, it's kind of underwhelming going from like Caicedo, Enzo, like Declan Rice, for example, as well for all these years, and then going think of Onana, like who plays for Everton in a relegation battle. I don't think that would have sat well. Personally,
plus if Everton
also
if Everton go down, he'll be available for so cheap. He won't be playing in the Championship next season. Absolutely no chance. So if there was interest there and we're looking to add some quality and depth, then Onana could be available very cheap in the summer if Everton do go down. He's someone that.
Then again, we've got Zakaria as well. So
yeah, I mean Zakaria is obviously on loan. Again, that's another option that if he continues the good form he had before injury, that can be. That could be made permanent. So there's definite options there in terms of depth, but I would have to say that I don't think that move moves the needle in the direction that Chelsea need it to be moved in terms of improving that midfield position. I'm going to throw it forward to actually not going to throw it forward to next season just yet. Outgoings. Obviously, a lot of players have come in, possibly one more to come in, which I think we can agree is going to be a midfield player, if anyone. In terms of outgoings, obviously a lot of players need to leave the club. I think it's going to be more the summer where we're going to get a mass clear out and a complete kind of reshaping, remolding of the squad. But in terms of this month, I think the player who's got the most chances of potentially leaving, Hakim Ziyech. Roma are keen to bring him in, obviously as a replacement if Nico Zaniolo leaves the club, which he's trying to do. £17.5 million. I think Chelsea want roughly for Ziyech. I think if that offer comes in, then they'll definitely take it. Any issues with letting Ziyech go this month as far as you're concerned? Obviously, we've got likes of Mudryk, we've got Madueke, we've got Sterling and Pulisic to come back from injury. Havertz that can play there, potentially Mount, Gallagher, Chukwuemeka. I mean, I don't think, despite the fact he's had a good few games recently, I think now's as good a time as any to sell him. He's obviously not part of the plans for the future, and he probably doesn't really, not probably, he just doesn't want to be here.
That's interesting, actually. I'd actually keep him. I quite
until the summer.
Yeah, at least until the summer, see what he can do for us. I personally like Ziyech, like the way he plays and stuff, his style of play. Like I've always said he's always been different to our attackers in the sense, the current ones that we've got, where there's not much directness and creativity without Ziyech. And sort of like Pulisic and like say Hudson-Odoi, who was obviously with us as well, they're more sort of like goal scoring wingers in a way, but forget Cho's just crap anyway. But Ziyech though, I definitely keep, because like he's shown glimpses of what he can do as well, especially with the World Cup as well. And yeah, I just don't know. Like I'd definitely keep him until the summer, but like you said, if we got the right money for him now, I'd be inclined to sell, as much as it would sort of. make me feel gutted. You can't argue with the price. If we get the money for him, then fair play, I guess. But I definitely would keep him, to be honest, because in the past few games as well, he's started at form, and that's coincided with the World Cup as well, the great World Cup he had as well. So yeah, for me, it's a keep. Even as a squad player, I'd definitely keep, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, look, I think it's tricky. I'm not sure whether an offer is going to come in. Obviously, it very much depends on Roma, on Zaniolo leaving Roma, of which he's not done yet, and then whether Roma actually put the money on the table and take Ziyech. I think if we let him go on loan, doesn't really make sense to me because we're still going to be paying for him because he's on big wages, and the club that he goes on loan is probably not going to cover all those wages, so they're still going to be paying for him in some way. If a permanent offer comes in, I'd take it. But if it's a loan, let's just keep him to the summer and deal with it. Then he can probably still be of some use to us in a certain way. But in terms
of the thing as well, with Ziyech, like I've noticed this as well. Like since he sort of joined us, like I probably think he's the only sort of attacker / winger that take risks on the ball. I don't see any of our players, any of our wingers or attackers take a risk. They always play the safe ball. But with Ziyech, like fair enough, he loses the ball a lot, but at least he tries in a way to sort of create something out of nothing. In a way, so yeah, just wanted to say that, to be fair, because I think sometimes he gets a bit too much stick for losing the ball, but I like players that take risks.
He's a very good technician. He is, and I'm still one of Chelsea's technically most gifted forwards. It's just, I don't know, it's just not there on a consistent enough basis.
I hear that.
That's the problem with me. When you look at the likes of the players that you've got coming in, where we're going to have Nkunku, maybe we have Felix on a permanent in the summer as well, Mudryk, Madueke, Sterling. Like Ziyech just doesn't fit in, basically. He just doesn't. So if we can get a decent deal for him this month, then I'd 100% sell. If not, we just wait to... He's leaving in the summer anyway, regardless. So it's just whether he goes now, whether he goes in the summer. So if the offer comes in, as I said, fine. If it doesn't, then we keep him, and I'm sure we can get some use out of him. In whatever games that in the remainder of the season. But yeah, I think that's probably the main one that in terms of outgoings. But I mean, there was another interesting one that Ornstein was saying on this same podcast. I'll bring it up on the screen now. I mean, there's kind of conflicting reports on this. Chalobah subsequently tweeted that blue's his favourite colour, I guess maybe in response to this. But apparently Chalobah is one to keep an eye on for sale. I don't know if that means this month or not, but that's kind of surprising given the fact that we turned down multiple approaches for him. I think in the summer we turned down approaches for him. I think maybe in January last year as well. He's played really well. I'm surprised that he's not in the team more often. Why he wasn't in the team more often this season, given how well he's done when he's been in it. I don't know how true this is, but as I said, I've seen conflicting reports, but it's Ornstein, so you'd expect it's fairly accurate. Does that surprise you? I know we've got depth at centre-back now where it's going to be Thiago Silva's obviously going to sign a 1-year extension, so you're going to have the likes of him. Fofana will be back fit again, Koulibaly, Badia Shil, Levi Colwill to come back. You throw Chalobah into the mix, we're going to be playing a back four, and there's potentially going to be 6 centre-backs there. So there's you don't need 6 centre-backs when you play a back four. 5 is probably fine. But what are your thoughts on that? I find that as a little bit strange. I think Chalobah's a really good player and he's done fantastic in his Chelsea career so far. And every time he puts the shirt on, he puts in a pretty decent performance. So I'd be surprised that Chelsea would be prepared to listen to offers for him.
Yeah, that is a strange one actually. But I just hope this doesn't mean Aspie stays in that case, because obviously we signed Gusto as well. So I don't know if obviously Potter sees Chalobah as a right back now instead of a centre back. And that could be the case with Gusto coming in the summer, where we'd sort of have Reece James, Gusto, obviously Aspie. He might be thinking to keep Aspie instead of Chalobah. Who knows? That's sort of my perception on it. Because I see him I see Chalobah slotting at centre back a few times, but I think Graham Potter sees him more as a right back now, maybe. which is quite weird.
I don't know. I don't know if he sees him as. I'm not sure if he sees him as a right back. I just think he sees him as a better solution than Aspilicueta is. But I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
that's true. But...
I mean, look, I'm not saying. Obviously, I don't. I don't speak to Graham Potter or know what he thinks. But I think like he's really looked at it and thought Aspie's like not really up to it week in week out playing right back. What's the next best solution?
Chalobah, yeah,
and it is to play Chalobah there. But I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I can see why Chelsea would be prepared to sell him in terms of the fact that he's going to be one of Chelsea's most valuable assets in terms of players that can obviously fetch a half decent fee. It's going to be tough competition for places next season. I'm not saying that he's like by any means going to shy away from the challenge or anything like that. Not at all. But you can quite feasibly see that he may not play that much next season because of the options we'll have at the back. He'll definitely play games because Thiago Silva, I mean, we say this all the time, but he'll be 39. He can't play every week, surely, and he still finds a way to do so. But you would expect that he probably isn't going to have that many opportunities next season. I mean, if you're Chalobah, maybe you're thinking, the players that have come in, do we potentially go back in for Gvardiol in the summer? Maybe I'm not saying we do, but there's maybe that option there.
Imagine.
So you look at it and you think you could understand from Chelsea's perspective, thinking, well, this guy's worth money. We can recoup reasonable money with him. But then from a Chalobah perspective as well, I'm not, like he obviously loves Chelsea, has come through the academy and stuff, but he must surely be thinking with the players that are coming in, how much of an opportunity and how much playing time am I actually going to have next season? And what's going to happen to Colwell? It's because it's basically, for me, I look at it and I think out of the centre-backs we've got, basically next season, it's either Colwell stays or Chalobah stays. They don't both stay. Unless Colwell goes out on another loan, maybe. But how much of a better loan than Brighton does he get unless he goes on loan in Europe somewhere? Because you're not going to get that much of a better loan in the Premier League than Brighton.
I personally keep Chalobah out of the two because he's proved it in a Chelsea shirt. Whereas Colwell, obviously, he's been great for Brighton and stuff, but he hasn't really played for us yet, so we don't know how he's going to sort of deal with that pressure from the sort of step up from sort of Brighton to Chelsea in that way. So yeah, I'd personally keep Chalobah. It's a strange one that we sort of keeping up for sale, to be honest, because he's probably one of the most disrespected players in this club, I think, from our fan base. So yeah, it's a proper weird one, actually.
It is a little bit of an odd one. I am going to throw it forward to next season now. Before rounding out when we do. Next season's squad is looking, can't lie, I know it's only on paper, but the squad's looking naughty. It is looking very good. So I mean, obviously, because on this website I can't add more options than 2. So there are a few that I've missed off. But you look at the squad next season and you go through the options and you're thinking, right, you look in goal, maybe we sign someone else in goal potentially, but it's not essential right now. You look at it, right, Kepa and Mendy. You then go to right back, James and Malagusto. Centre back, Silva, Fofana, Badia, Shield, Chalobah, Levi Colwell to add to that as well. Chilwell and Cucurella as left backs. Lewis Hall can also play there if necessary. Midfield, obviously right now, no new midfielders have come in, but so far we've got Jorginho, Kante, Mount, Gallagher, Kovacic, Chukwuemeka, maybe throw a Caicedo in there in the next couple of days. Maybe a Declan Rice in the summer as well to add to that. And then you throw it forward and you've got Sterling and Madueke on that right-hand side. Mudryk and João Felix. Hopefully we sign him on a permanent, but right now Mudryk and João Felix. Obviously Pulisic still here as well. Mason Mount. And then you look at the number 9 position. And Chelsea, Fabrizio Romano saying a while back, oh yeah, and Slanina as well, as Shano's in the chat has said. We've got Slanina as well in sticks. And then you throw it to the number 9 position, and Kunku and Havertz potential to rotate there. And Fabrizio saying a few days ago that Chelsea could well be in the market for a number 9 this summer as well. So you look at that and you look at the depth we've got in certain positions of some of the signings that are being added there. You could also add Datro Fofana potentially to that mix in the number 9 position at the top there, or as an attacking option. And you look at that and the options we've got and how different the squad is already starting to look.
Yeah, just look at that, man. It's just, it's beautiful to see, to be honest.
I mean, the defensive options are outrageous.
Yeah, it's a joke. Look at that. It's just, it looks really good. Like the Goalkeeper, yeah. I think the centre back position, the full back positions, we're sorted. I think
Yeah.
that's not that's the least of my worries, to be honest, and that's the sort of most confidence that I feel. The goalkeeping situation is interesting because I'm still very 50-50 on Kepa. I'm not 100% on him, but he's still quite a good option. And then looking at the midfield, man, just yeah, I don't like it. But,
It's not good. But if you like, you look at it and you think, right, if we had a Caicedo to that in the window, suddenly it looks a lot better, and Chukwuemeka will be better next season. I think a lot of Ruben's still in there, but I think one of Ruben or Gallagher for me is definitely leaving. One of Jorginho or Kante is definitely leaving. So it's definitely already 2 players leaving
I
out of
think with
these ones we've
Jorginho
got
and
here.
Gallagher,
I think I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jorginho. Loftus Cheek is probably Chelsea would probably rather let Loftus Cheek go, but they'll get more money for Conor Gallagher. So
yeah.
I think Jorginho is definitely going to leave, and probably one of Gallagher or Loftus Cheek. So looking at 2 midfielders going out this window, maybe in the summer, maybe more. And you think Caicedo takes one of those places, and then maybe an Enzo or a Rice. Chelsea will try for Bellingham in the summer as well. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but they will try for him. But you look at that and you just think the squad is starting to take shape. I mean, look how much better that attack looks already just with those names.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Like Mudryk on that left-hand side, Sterling and Madueke, João Felix, if we can sign him on a permanent in the summer. It's another fantastic option. And Kunku, maybe if we can sign a 9, maybe someone like a Victor Osimhen or a Dusan Vlahovic, then you think maybe Havertz could potentially be surplus to requirements. And so I would sell Havertz in the summer anyway, but it depends
100%.
what takers there are for him and how much money we can get. But if you look at that and you think maybe an Kunku and a Dusan Vlahovic rotating, or a Victor Osimhen, and Kunku can obviously play across the front line as well. So, I mean, mate, it's really exciting. And those options in attack, just look how much better that looks already. Something like Mudryk and Kunku, Sterling, or Madueke compared to...
a lot of people are writing off Sterling, like he's kind of the forgotten man at the moment, but I still think
he has been terrible. But yeah, look, he's been here, 6 months, so we can't exactly write him off.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, that looks good. I mean,
yeah,
you look at that and you think there's I'm not saying we're title contenders or anything next season. This is a million miles off. But you look at that and you think next season we're going to be a lot better. You would think.
100%. Yeah, we should at least we should
be a top 4 cert.
as a minimum requirement.
Yeah.
And a few cup runs, definitely, for sure.
I mean,
yeah,
that squad is going to be very good. There's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of players going out, which is much needed. And we're going to have young.
By the way.
Oh yeah, I forgot Aubameyang as well. He's gonna go in the summer as well. He'll be surplus to requirements. I think honestly, Aubameyang is probably the only. I love what these owners have done so far. The only cross for me is the Aubameyang deal. Why they sanctioned that, knowing they were going to sack Tuchel, was the only reason Chelsea were ever in for Aubameyang was because of Tuchel. So the Aubameyang thing. Oh, I forgot to add Zakaria into that. Fuck! And I forgot Koulibaly as well.
Yeah, Koulibaly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, shit. So we have got 6. Yeah. So yeah, forgot Koulibaly as well. Thanks, KSA man, for that. Forgot Koulibaly and obviously Aubameyang as well. So there's a lot of players that need to go out. I do think that a centre back will be sold in the summer. Then if we're looking at Badiashile, Silva, Fofana, Koulibaly, Colwell. Like, there's definitely one centre back is going in the summer for sure. Whether it's on loan or whether it's permanently, someone's definitely leaving. But yeah, that squad is definitely it's looking good. But I just wanted to round out with a couple of little bits and pieces. There's a lot of stuff has come from this Ornstein podcast on BBC Football, so I'll probably have to give a little bit of a listen to that later. But it's really refreshing to hear like Ornstein talking about wages at Chelsea. Many of the newer contracts will involve significant wage reductions if Chelsea are not in the Champions League. Obviously, some of the old regime contracts do not. I think it's great. In my opinion, that these new contracts that we're offering, the wages are performance incentivized. So you get paid, obviously, probably a lower base wage, but then obviously you've got the potential to earn more money through doing well. So whether we play Champions League football, whether it's bonuses for trophies or whatever it is. And I think that's a much better way of doing things than the old regime where we're stuck with players on contracts, massive money, and there's not really any motivation for them to do well because they're going to be paid the same regardless. I mean, like Mudryk comes in and he's on obviously look, £97,000 a week is ridiculous money by in normal terms. You know, people could only dream of earning that sort of amount of money a week. I mean, even that in a year is considered a very good salary. So the fact people are getting that weekly, but in football terms and in Chelsea terms, that's not a lot of money, £97,000 a week. So, about how pleased are you to see kind of a restructuring of the wage situation at the club, moving towards these in performance incentivized contracts? I think it's a massive step in the right direction.
I think like you said, with the old regime, there was sort of an unbalance in terms of the wages that we were offering. Like with, for example, with with all these players that we sort of got or / loaned out, like Bakayoko, for example, players that we signed in the 17-18 window, and few like sort of flop signings that we've had as well. They've all been on massive money, like at least 200, 300k a week, like Morata, Lukaku. That's another one, by the way, you forgot. Romelu Lukaku, who we've
we've still got Lukaku on the books. Oh, yeah. How can I forget that? I've been getting hammered for the last couple of days since I put that tweet out. So, yeah, now, of course, we've still got Lukaku on the books as well.
Yeah, just going back to the sort of wage structure thing, I also like what we're doing now in terms of the Mudryk sort of thing, where is it if we win the Champions League and Premier League, his fee goes up to about
because the
20 million.
Yeah, so 30 million euros in add-ons, and a large percentage of that 30 million euro add-ons is based on him winning the Champions League and the Premier League during his time here. So in theory, we actually want to pay those add-ons because it means it's gone well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, of course. Why not? And also, like, I think this is the big test for Chelsea now in the next sort of few months with Mason Mount's situation in terms of the contract that he wants, because I believe he still wants about 300k a week. Is that correct?
I don't. I think this 300k figure is a bit of a myth. Like he wants.
What
he wants is he wants to feel valued by the club, and he wants to be on a similar wage to kind of those around him in terms of like Reece James. I think is on 250 or it's 200. Mount wants he wants parity with kind of Chelsea's towards the higher end of the wage structure. He wants to feel valued by the club. I think this is twofold. This Mason Mount's on 75k a week right now still. And when you see the likes of Kai Havertz and other players on over twice what he's on, then you can, and having not done as much as Mason Mount has for Chelsea, then he absolutely deserves a pay rise. I think the issue for me is where people get annoyed and kind of pissed off, and not rightfully so, in my opinion, but this is kind of why, is because the negotiations are going on when he's in the worst form of his career. And that never helps. And people see you're kind of asking for parity with certain earners at the club and you're not performing well, then it kind of doesn't really sit right. But I think Mount will sign a new contract at Chelsea, whether it's 200k a week or whether it's just shy of that or whatever it is. I think he will sign a new contract. But yeah, it doesn't help that you're negotiating probably one of the biggest contracts of your career to date when you're in the worst form you've probably ever been in. Well, certainly the worst form he's ever been in at Chelsea.
Yeah, it could also be a factor where players that sort of looking at to come into Chelsea look at, say, for example, Raheem Sterling, Lukaku, for example, Mount, they'll be like, oh, they're on at least 250, 300k a week, for example. Like, I feel like I deserve the same amount. If they've got it, why can't I have it in that sort of way? So, which is why I'm kind of worried about the sort of the Mount contract situation overall, just on how we would sort of deal with that, because Liverpool also in for him as well, I believe, right? For the
Liverpool are prepared to make a move for Mason Mount in the summer. Obviously, I think by the summer, if he's not signing a new contract by the summer, then I'd start to worry a little bit. I think right now in January, there's plenty of time to negotiate the contract. It doesn't actually expire until 24 anyway. It's not like it's up at the end of this season or anything like that. But Liverpool are keen on the player, so I don't think, whatever people think of Mason Mount, you know, the idea that people would be happy for him to go to Liverpool is just an utter nonsense.
Yeah, even though he's not been performing this season,
he's shown what he can. He has shown what he can do. Look, he's not performing well right now, but it's not like he's been shit for Chelsea the whole time he's put a shirt on. This is a back-to-back Chelsea Player of the Year, and I'm not saying. And people go, "Oh yeah," but you know, some like we were shit those years. or it's irrelevant. He was still the best player.
He was. I agree with that.
Those years. So, yes, he's not playing well right now, and yes, he shouldn't be in the team, but he absolutely deserves a new contract. There's no two ways about it. And even him being a squad player for possibly in the future is a good thing. The fact that he's going to have competition for his place should only spur him on to rediscover the form that we've seen from him in the last couple of years. But yeah, that contracts thing I think is definitely a big plus, and it leads to kind of like a united dressing room in terms of the fact you're not going to have certain players that are on massive money and who aren't performing with others who are on less money, like performing week in, week out, and it kind of creates a bit of a bad atmosphere in the place. So I definitely think that is certainly a huge step in the right direction. There was just one last thing that I was going to refer to before we round out, and it was something to do with the fact that I think Chelsea were going to. It was something about the manager situation before, obviously, we appointed. Where is it? Before we appointed Potter, there was apparently Chelsea spoke to Pochettino. I'm just trying to find the tweet.
Yeah,
I'll get back to.
It's funny. Also, you mentioned Man United just now as well, because I don't know if you saw in I think either was it I can't remember whose tweet it was. I saw on Twitter. Apparently, another Premier League club were in for Gusto, and he rejected.
Yeah, they were, and there was a definite.
A lot of people saying it was Man United.
Yeah,
which is
it's quite possible. I suspect it could well have been. Oh, here it is. I found it now.
Oh, nice.
Let me just bring it up now. That Chelsea had actually spoke. I'm so glad this didn't happen. Chelsea spoke to Pochettino to replace Tuchel, but Graham Potter is the man the owners are intent on going forward with. So Chelsea did speak to Poch. I think, look, I'm not saying that Poch is a bad manager, but Poch at Chelsea would have been a terrible, terrible fit. I'm so glad that didn't happen. But it is interesting. Obviously, of course, you're going to sound out managers and kind of see what the consensus is. Poch might have said no to the Chelsea job because of the fact that he's managed Spurs. He might have a strong affinity to Spurs where he's not going to do that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's not really surprising given at the time the managers that were available. You look at really Poch, Zidane as like the ones that you could get for free before looking around to get someone out of a club potentially. But I mean, it's not surprising for me, but I'm so glad that we didn't go for it.
It would have been funny. It would be so funny. Imagine if he was a manager and he actually won us a trophy before he actually won one at Tottenham. That would have just been hilarious. And given the fact that Tottenham have tried to grab our previous managers and haven't won a trophy, imagine if we grab Poch and then we actually won a trophy with them. That would have just been hilarious. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense that at the time when Tuchel got sacked, I was I think the first name in my head was Poch at the time. But now that when I was thinking about it more and more, I was like, with the players that we've got, I just don't think it would have been a good fit. And yeah, maybe he might have got backed, but I just can't trust him at that sort of elite level to get us where Tuchel was in the past. But all in all, I'm sort of glad that we've gone with sort of Graham Potter, and yeah, just have to keep backing him, keep giving him time and stuff, but also get us results as well at the same time, because it is a results business at the end of the day as well. So
I think
the next season I'll probably start to judge Potter a little bit more after obviously the window he's had now, the summer window to come as well. Yeah,
that for me is the key now. The fact that he's been heavily backed this window. Now we've got to start seeing results pick up really quickly. I'm not saying he's not under pressure by any means at all, but in terms of the fact, results, whatever you think of the situation, he's been dealt a pretty shit hand so far with the injuries, the state of the squad and whatnot. You do have to start picking results up. So it is really critical that for this second half of the season, we do start picking results up. But just to round out, just going to talk about this. Graham Potter took his Chelsea team to an army base to meet soldiers. Oh, fuck, it's reading the wrong screen. As part of a team bonding day, he wanted to use the experience to help the new signings settle in whilst they have some downtime. He's the experience to train the minds of his players with a series of mental exercises to get them thinking and working together. I think,
Wow.
look,
Okay.
I like that sort of thing. I really do. And I think mindset and mentality has been a big thing at Chelsea that's been lacking for a number of years, ever really since the sort of the old spine of the team left. Cech, Drogba, Terry, Lampard. There's been mentality issues in that team, so I only look at that as another big plus going forward.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like Sarri said it in the past, Lampard said it in the past, even Tuchel said it as well.
Yeah, Jose said it as well.
Jose said it as well. The mentality of these players is just in the gutter, to be honest. And yeah, it's even I think Potter's probably thinking that. He obviously hasn't come out and said that, but in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking that as well. That the mentality of these players just isn't there. Like I think it's just the way football's evolved at the same time. Like you mentioned with sort of the old regime and the old core that we had back in the day that were winning us titles like almost every season and stuff. Their mentality was up there, the proper top. But I'll probably say in terms of mentality, players that we have right now are probably N'Golo Kante, Thiago Silva, and probably Aspilicueta in terms of the more
Real
sort of
winners.
experienced
Yeah,
ones and
yeah.
the real winners. That's it. But if you talk maybe
I mean,
back to Jose
Sterling
days,
is a winner.
as well.
He's a
Yeah,
winner, but I wouldn't look at Sterling. I mean, I could be totally wrong here and completely misjudging him, but Sterling is 100% a winner. But I don't know if I look at him and think he's like a proper leader. You know, when we're down in the trenches and things aren't going well, he's like a guy that you look to sort of as a bit of an inspiration. I personally don't see him as that. I could be totally wrong, but it doesn't strike me as someone that it doesn't strike me as someone that would be prepared to kind of dig out his teammates on the pitch for not performing.
it's like in the past we had Hazard as well. Hazard was that sort of player that you look for in inspiration. Like you had Fabregas as well, who was very experienced, obviously with Arsenal and Barcelona as well. You had players like Nemanja Matic, Ivanovic, like even like just the basic names: Lampard, Terry, Cech, Ashley Cole, Essien as well, Makelele as well.
All leaders, all winners. Like it's
all winners throughout the team, and that sort of bodes in with the younger players that are coming in as well.
Yeah,
at the same time,
I definitely think there's exciting times coming. Definitely next year and in the next couple of years. There's a lot to be optimistic about. To round out realistic expectation for the rest of the season. Get to 40 points so that we stay up, and then from there, just get as high at the table as possible. I think top 6 is realistic. Whether it's 5th, whether it's 6th, I think that's definitely something to aim for, and then just see what we can do in the Champions League. But I think top 6 and see how far we can get in the Champions League is realistic. We can't do any more than that. I don't think.
Would you want? Just a quick question, Charlie. Would you want to finish 5th or 6th, or would you rather miss out?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the last time we missed out on European football completely, we then won the league the next year. So I don't know if for the project it would actually be better to just have the league to concentrate on next year. Certainly, if it was the case of Conference League, I'd rather not play in that and have no European football. I think Europa League, whilst the group stage and stuff is a massive pain in the arse and you play some pretty shit teams, like there's still, I don't know, it's still a half decent trophy. And if you win it, you obviously get in the Champions League. So it gives you 2 stabs at getting in the Champions League. So, I mean, look, ideally, I think really for me, I think playing no European football next season would actually probably benefit us more. But then from a fan perspective, I would be disappointed if we had no European football to look forward to. So it's kind of 2 ways of looking at it. But I can fully appreciate the train of thought that actually it probably is better for us, and we'd see maybe more progress if we just had league football to focus on.
Oh, can you imagine if you're in the Conference League, man? Imagine you doing your vlogs, man. In the
it would be grim. Man, I don't think I'll be doing too many away days in the Conference League.
It'd be like minus 10 in some places. Man.
I mean, the only plus of the Conference League is we'd almost certainly win it, and then we could actually sing "We've won it all." We would then definitely we would have that trophy in the bag. Let me just finish up with this one. If we sell homegrown players, it goes down with FFP for profit. Yeah, basically the thing with that, with the same Ornstein podcast saying that if Chelsea sell a homegrown player, for example, Conor Gallagher for pure profit, then we will be in a profit for this January window, which is quite a madness. All those people that are battering us for spending money, oh, it's not fair, it's this, it's that. Well, it isn't. We're well within the rules. We've got an owner that's switched on and has exploited a loophole that no one else had the brains to use. And yeah, things are going well. But yeah, it seems like a good place to round out. Hopefully there'll be some more news on the pursuit of Moises Caicedo tomorrow over the weekend. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thanks for getting involved in the chat. Make sure you smash the likes on your way out and subscribe to the channel as well. Looking to get to 3,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. So every new subscriber helps. So please do smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. It's free and it massively helps me out more than you could imagine. Dharmesh, thanks for your time, bro. Massively appreciated as always. Man. Guys, I'll be back over the weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, probably Sunday, unless there's any major updates tomorrow. But yeah, until then, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and up the Chelsea.